Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. Now, we have a pretty interesting week to look at in the market. There's a certain level of softness that we're seeing in Modern. Of course, we do have Modern Masters 2017 slowly approaching, which could be some of the reason for that. We also have a kind of soft and down market in the world of Legacy as well. Standard, kind of slow too. Again, that's maybe to be expected considering we're in that standard drought right now. I mean, this is the longest period of time between two standard sets is where we're at right now in the calendar. So all these things could just be simply the fact that it's the end of November going into December, and it's typical in some ways for the Magic market to slow down a little bit, but we are seeing a lot less growth than we've been seeing in a while, and as a matter of fact, you're going to see some pretty significant declines in some of the cards, especially in Modern. So let's jump in and see what is going on in the market. And we're going to begin with Standard, as we always do. And let's look at the cards that lost value this week. No big surprises here. I mean, these are your standard staples that have been doing pretty well for the most part. But as more packs get open and folks solidify their decks, they simply don't necessarily need to pay the same prices for these cards as they did a few weeks back. Coming in number 5 is Liliana the Last Hope, down 86 cents to $40. Coming in number 4 is Nissa Vital Force, down $1.04 to $8.41. Number 3 is Smuggler's Copter, down $1.18 to $13.50. Number 2 is Verdurous Gearhulk, down $1.22 to $11.81. And coming in at number 1 is Torrential Gearhulk, down $1.40 to $17.33. So as you can see, a lot of great cards that are seeing play in the format right now, but they are starting to creep down in value a little bit. Okay, let's look at the cards that have gained value this week in Standard now. Much like the last couple of weeks, Blue-White Flash is just ruling the day. It is a deck that came out a little bit later than some of these other decks, so there are players still out there trying to get their copies of the cards they need, and it has taken up a very significant portion of the field at this point. So let's see what we have coming in at number 5. Makes sense, Port Town, up 10 cents to $3.10. You will notice, however, though, these increases are very, very small increases. They're more indicators than anything. Coming in number 4 is Angel of Invention, up 11 cents to $3.45. Coming in number 3, Gazella the Broken Blade, up 19 cents to $9.95. Coming in number 2, Blessed Alliance, up 45 cents to $1.25. Now, this one's an uncommon, and even though it's not very expensive, it had a very large percentage increase this week. Again, it just shows you the strong performance of that particular deck. And finally, coming in at number 1, Archangel Avacyn, up 75 cents to $20.36. So she's broken the $20 mark again, and as you can see from this top 5 list, Blue-White Flash really kind of ruled the day. All right, let's move on to Modern. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show, Modern is looking very, very soft. And yes, we know Modern Masters 2017 coming out in March this year. In the past, it's come out in May. So that could be affecting what we're seeing this time of year a little more than perhaps we've seen in past years when there's been Modern Masters releases. But a lot of the key cards getting really soft right now. Coming in number 5 is Verdant Catacombs, down $2.15 to $68.27. Now, I've been saying over the last few weeks, I really don't think we're going to see enemy colored fetch land show up in Modern Masters 2017. I feel like they're going to save these for a future standard release, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it means a higher print run and these prices will go down in the secondary market so players can get their hands on the cards easier. The downside is we would have to wait longer for that to happen. Although I will say this, WotC has surprised me recently with a lot of their choices and their direction. It feels like maybe they're getting some pressure from corporate to make some more gains in the short term financially, and it's resulting in some just unique things that we're seeing. Perhaps you could chalk up the masterpieces to the need to have larger growth and more sales for each standard set. You can look at things like the release of more Eternal Masters. Very unusual move. We haven't seen anything quite like that from them before. Again, it could speak to the fact that they're trying to meet a certain profit margin before the quarter ends. Having said that, who knows? I mean, at this point, Would I be surprised to see them in Modern Masters? Maybe not. They're doing things that I would never have expected them to do before, so I kind of feel like all bets are off in some cases, so I guess we'll know soon enough. Now, having said that, I think this card is coming down not necessarily because people think it's going to show up in Modern Masters, but it is very highly priced. It's actually higher than all the other enemy color fetch lands as well, so I think this is going to keep stabilizing down a little bit for a while. Coming in number 4, Grove of the Burn Willows, down $277 to $57. I mean, again, not a big change, normal stabilization for this card, but another candidate for possible reprint. Coming in number 3, Crucible of Worlds. This is the 5th Dawn version, down $283 to $54.49. And this is a card that sure could be in Modern Masters 2017. And again, like I said, who knows? All bets are off. But I kind of feel like they might put this more in a future Eternal Masters release, just because it's not a modern staple card. It feels more like an Eternal card to me. The sad part again to that is this desperately needs a reprint sooner than later. Number 2 is Liliana of the Veil, down $312 to $96.67. Now, if I'm 99% sure of two things, it's that Liliana and Snapcaster will be in Modern Masters 2017 at the Mythic Rare level. So I think a lot of people feel the same way. So you are seeing a softness now in this card that you haven't seen in a while. And the same is actually true of Snapcaster, even though it's not on the list. And coming in at number 1 is Tarmogoyf, with the Modern Masters 2015 version going down $356 to $123.91, and the Future Sight version going down $585 to $151.31. So this is a pretty big drop for this card in 1 week. Tarmogoyf extremely soft right now. Not only could it potentially be reprinted in the next Modern Masters, we've seen it in the last 2, why not this one? But also the card's seeing a little bit less play than it has seen, probably at least in recent history. So take those two things combined, this card's going to continue to drop. All versions of it, I think, are going to continue to drop, which is very interesting to see, especially the Future Sight version lose that much ground, considering it kind of is the fan favorite version. It has been for a while. Now, we don't know for sure. I mean, there's only so many Mythic spots. We've seen Tarmogoyf over the last few Modern Masters. Perhaps it leaves for a set to bring something else in. That's very possible. I guess time will tell. All right, let's look at the top 5 modern cards that have gained value this week. You're going to see a couple things here. First off, Scatter Red won the GP a couple weeks back, so there are some pretty hot cards still from that deck around. Also, really the big story of the week is Commander 2016. Now, granted, the cards we're going to talk about here have really nothing to do with the actual modern quote-unquote format, but they are modern legal cards, and I think it's a story worth telling. These Commander products, really the hottest thing going right now, and they're having an impact on the secondary market, which is actually kind of interesting. So coming in at number 5 is Copperline Gorge, up 69 cents to 10.75, so no surprises there. Coming in number 4, Arkham Drexen, up $1.04 to $8.11. Now, here's one of those cards that isn't seeing play in a hot modern deck or anything like that right now. This is a card that's being picked up on the secondary market to go into Commander 2016 products. Definitely a card that fits well in the Invent Superiority deck. Coming in number 3, Noble Hierarch, up $1.63 to $64.99. This is the Conflux version. Now, this card's actually been going down the last few weeks, and that's due to the fact that it had a pretty big spike a couple months ago, and it kind of stabilized, starting to creep back up again. And even though this is potentially a candidate for a reprint in Modern Masters, this card is just seeing so much play in so many places, not only Modern, but also Vintage and Legacy, that copies are just needed, and we hopefully will get another reprint soon. Doubling Season. Now, another card being impacted by Commander 2016. Now, if you played the Breed Lethality deck, you know that it almost feels like a glaring omission in that deck list. Now, I'm sure they didn't include it because the price point of this card is very high. They didn't want to make a lopsided move where a lot of folks would be trying to pick up that one particular deck over the other 4, because that gets very awkward for stores and for your LGS who's trying to sell all 5 of those so they can restock and order more. And here you go. Because of that, Doubling Season, a lot of folks are out there trying to pick it up. Modern Masters version up $1.66 to $47.77, with the Ravnica City of Guilds version up $2.07 to $48.21. And coming in at number 1 is Koth of the Hammer, up 229 to 1232. Again, one of the key cards in the Scattered Red deck, so it's pretty hot right now. I would say this, though. I think this is going to start to wane a little bit as folks that are trying to build this deck get the pieces together, and the next major tournament will come along, and if another deck wins, then attention could be turned to that deck. So I think this is going to be a little bit temporary. If you're in the market to pick up Koth or any of the cards that are hot right now from that particular deck, you may want to wait a little bit because these will eventually cool back down. All right, let's move into Legacy. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, Legacy also looking pretty soft to me. Now, you're going to notice that the cards that are increasing in value are increasing maybe just a little bit less than we've been seeing in the past, and the cards decreasing or decreasing just a little bit more. Coming at number 5, The Abyss. This is down 1530 to 250.49. Not a big deal for this card. Normal stabilization at that price point. Coming at number 4 is Unlimited Tundra, down 30.30 to 332.93. Coming at number 3 is Bayou Unlimited, down 35.40 to 241.31. Coming at number 2, Force Field from Unlimited, down 45.73 to 140.63. That's a pretty big drop for this card. And granted, it did have a spike not too long ago, a number of months ago, so it could just be stabilizing, but a pretty big decrease there. Finally, coming in at number 1, Nether Void, down 46.29 to 260.99. Now, again, this was the target of a buyout a number of months back. Since then, it had started to go down and then kind of stabilized. Now it's going down again, so it could simply be these cards are being reintroduced to the market. All right, so let's look at the cards that have gained value this week. Coming in number 5, Unlimited Badlands, up 761 to 159.42. So much smaller increase on some of these dual lands than we've been used to seeing. Number 4, Underground Sea from Unlimited, up 807 to 560.50. When you're talking about a $500-600 card, an $8 increase honestly is basically nothing. Number 3, Tropical Island from Unlimited, up 879 to 338.39. Number 2, City in a Bottle, up 980 to 83.29. Now, this is one of those Arabian Nights Rares reserve list card that really hasn't had a lot of attention on it quite yet. So I think this one could go up a little bit over the next few weeks. Wouldn't be surprised to see this one hit around the $100 mark soon. Coming in at number 1, the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. Now, this actually was not on our countdown last week. I didn't want to jinx ourselves by saying anything, but it's back. And it's increased 110.41 to 1,248.99. So, having said that, that is the market watch for this week. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks as we get closer to Modern Masters and the folks that are picking up some of those Commander cards start to get their Commander cards in their collection. It kind of feels like we're going into a very, very soft time for the market, seeing less buyouts from the Legacy side, although they're still occurring, just maybe not as high profile. And we're really seeing a very strong softness from the Modern market, as well as the Standard market at this point, which is a little more understandable considering we are in between Standard sets. So I guess we'll see what happens over the coming weeks. Until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks as always for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.